welcome to our four-part series that focuses on supporting mental health and well-being for undocumented Bruins in collaboration with the UCLA Rice Center and the Undocumented Student Program. My name is Metzli Sanchez, and I currently work at the Undocumented Student Program.
Hi everyone, my name is Yasmin Rojas and I am a rising senior and I am a huge advocate for mental health for undocumented students. I currently advocate that while being part of CCCP and also with ideas.
Hi everybody, my name is Nikita Gupta. I am a facilitator of healing spaces and workshops at the UCLA Rice Center. I'm also the director of the GRIT coaching program, and it's really an honor to be here with you today.
Hi, my name is Diana Ramirez. I recently graduated from UCLA as a psychology major. I'm currently working with the Rice Center and I'm a resident assistant on the Hill. So the first topic in the series that we wanted to cover was the impact of DACA changes on student well-being. So we all introduced ourselves. Whoever feels very compelled to answer a certain question, please feel free to do so. But yeah, we're just going to get started. So the first question we really wanted to ask was, what is the impact of DACA updates on your overall well-being, whether that be mental, emotional, or physical?
I can start. So, to begin, I think that first off, we've had a lot of changes since the 2016 election. I was a DACA recipient my first year of college, so I actually went to community college first. And, I started off my first year with bad news, and I started off my sophomore year scared that I wouldn't be able to have DACA anymore. And so it did cause a lot of stress because my sophomore year I was focusing on transferring out and hopefully to attend UCLA, which I did. But it did cause a burden, and it did cause a lot of pain, and I think a lot of it led to a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, and I think a lot of sadness that I wasn't aware that I was going through. I didn't realize how much it was pulling on my mental health. I try to keep myself busy with schoolwork and being active, and I took up on leadership roles at my community college, and I kept myself busy, and I was just trying to keep myself distracted and not really allowing myself to feel what I was feeling. And it wasn't until I got to UCLA and I met other students at the Undocumented Student Program who expressed feeling the same way, and I think it brought some sort of comfort knowing that I wasn't alone, and to know that feeling anger, feeling frustrated, feeling sad was normal. So that was really helpful. But to this day, we're still on a limbo with not knowing what's next. And I think I'm doing a better job at taking care of my mental health versus before. Like I said, I would just try to keep myself busy and keep myself distracted. And now I do keep myself busy, but I'm doing things where I take care of myself, I take care of my body, I take care of my mind, and I try to not focus too much on all the negativity around DACA and around, the possibility of it ending again. So I'm just trying to stay positive about it.
That's amazing, Metzli. I know that you've described an experience that's really marked by uncertainty and, beyond other things, we all kind of know the rhetoric that a lot of people from our communities have to deal with. So it can be really frustrating, but I'm really glad to hear that you did the, this hard job of finding a community at UCLA, because it's totally hard to take care of your mental health regularly, and especially when you have other worries to consider, going to school, transferring. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. Yasmin, I don't know do you want to add at all to this question? Or
Yeah, so the impact of the DACA updates ever since fall 2016. So actually I graduated high school in 2016 and I entered community college as well in 2016, which was really frustrating because for the past 4 years I have never felt so emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted. I feel drained overall. Like, it's more emotional and mentally that I feel it because I just feel tired. I feel really I want to say maybe numb. Like, the news does hit me, every now and then, when 2017 when he rescinded it as well, but over time I just started feeling very frustrated. The duality that I struggle with is also like, with depression and anxiety, they very like contrast, because one of them overwhelms you and the other one you just don't care. So that's where I feel like numb but anxious at the same time. But just like Nestle said, I dedicated my time towards something positive that really did help me, and I found my community. So that's how I've been doing over the past 4 years. Yeah, hopefully it'll change.
Yeah, I think you described something that's honestly really real to a lot of people. Mental health struggles on top of all of this stressful stuff. It's really, really difficult. Thank you so much for like opening up about that. I know that it can be a little bit challenging. So moving on to another question I wanted to ask. How do you practice self-love and care during these difficult times? What have you found are like some of your helpful coping strategies?
I can also start with that question. So for me, I actually don't have them here with me, but for me, it's been taking care of succulents and taking care of plants. I remember my first year at UCLA, so my junior year, in the dorms, there was some event and they had succulents. And I just found it strange. I was like, why is everyone so obsessed with succulents? It wasn't the first event that I saw where they were just giving them away and promoting it as like self-care. And I was like, well, that's kind of strange. Back then, I didn't see it as self-care. I just saw it as, oh, okay, they're giving away plants. It's like pretty decor for my desk in my dorm, until I killed one, and then another one of them died. And I was like, okay, that's really sad. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look into it and try to take care of my plants. And so it actually turned out to be something that I really enjoy now. And thankfully, none of my plants have died. One of them is struggling, but I was able to take care of it, and it's doing really well now. So that's been my form of self-care. And I've read a lot of articles or like posts on Instagram where people often talk about like the need to take care of others, and this other can be a plant. But by taking care of the plant, it actually makes me feel really good. And it's like on Tuesdays, I water my plants and I take care of them. Or my mom actually gifted me a new plant yesterday. So that's been my self-care. And aside from my plants, I also enjoy writing. I try to write sometimes when it's difficult to express to others how I'm feeling. I like to write it down. And then it's just good to look back and reflect. I definitely have a lot of journals just hidden. And I don't think that I would ever share with anyone, but they're good for me. And I think that has helped me stay sane.
That's such an awesome story about, your writing and your plants. And it's really interesting too. I think that, plants are, really awesome for self-care, but it's not one of the things that we first think about. I mean, you even mentioned it when you saw that, you were like, this is weird. So what about it now that like after a few years have passed, what about it is like really engaging in self-care for you?
I would say, and I know it can sound cheesy, but your plants actually have feelings. Like, I've noticed that when I do get busy and I sort of like neglect my plants, you can see the leaves going down. And that sort of reminds me, like, you need to take care of yourself. So by taking care of my plant, it reminds me that just like the plant, I need to take care of myself. If I'm not feeding myself, if I'm not watering myself, then I'm not growing and I'm not at my best. And so it's like like a reflection of taking care of myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you have such a like a vibrant form of self-care that you can really, connect to one-on-one. Um, I can ask again the question for you, Yasmin, or do you think you remember it from before?
If I keep touching my eye, my mom, I don't know why she decided to start cooking with me. So I'm not crying. I know the time. But definitely Metzli does make a strong point. I actually took that little like action of like taking in the succulents whenever I see them on campus. Actually, my job started me without them. I work for Center for Community College Partnerships at UCLA. And during one of our trainings, my supervisor was like, okay, today for training, we're going to paint a pot and you're going to put a plant in it, you're going to name it, and you're going to take it to your dorm or apartment or whatever. And same like with Mete, I'm like, why am I going to take a succulent? Like, why am I going to take a plant? I didn't know, but that little plant has stayed with me since it was week zero of fall, and it has stayed with me throughout. I'm surprised it lived because I have killed I don't know if it's dying or so, but I'm struggling with one plant. But yeah, definitely I try to be well-rounded with how I take care of myself during these times. I make sure that I journal as well. I listen to my body and what it needs. I have my meals, throughout the day. I make sure they're balanced. I like to run a lot. Recently in the summer, I started out running 3 miles, and now I accomplished my goal of running 5 miles. I don't know, running just releases my anxiety. That's what I really love it for. I make sure to have a good sleep schedule, try to sleep enough, sometimes it's not the best. Some of my best coping mechanisms, like I said, is I like to get involved for my community. That really does help when I feel anxious or depressed. I just remember that I'm a peer femtor for transfer students who happen to be undocumented. I am an AB 540 project director for ideas at UCLA. I'm also one of the 580 Cafe leadership interns, which they're also great for advocating for undocumented students and mental health for healing wise. So I just try to seek what brings me joy and peace.
Yeah, that's truly one of the best, most re-energizing forms of self-care. I'm really glad to hear that both of you have something that can really revitalize you, because, I mean, being an undocumented student alone can be very draining, especially when there's a lack of resources. Maybe this conversation isn't had as often as it should be, on top of all the stressors of being a person and a student. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that, student leaders such as yourselves have forms of self-care, because that can be really difficult for student leaders too. So the next question, what is your preferred system of how others can support you? Can anyone really speak to what kind of support you want from others?
I can start. So I think for me, it's simply being heard. I've had the experience sometimes where I was afraid to speak up, and at the time I wanted someone else to speak up for me, but that has sort of changed. And so I want to bring up that, it could change. It could be different for everyone. So for example, for me, I think it's being heard and being acknowledged and being appreciated. But I would like to, when the time is right, to be able to speak up for myself and be able to express how I feel. I don't really appreciate when others try to tell me how I should feel, or or try to like enforce or tell me like, oh, just be positive, when they come from a different standpoint. So I think just simply hearing me out, letting me know that they're there for me, and appreciating me as a person, nothing else, just as a person.
Yeah, Metzli, you're totally right in that. I think that sometimes, people always want to fix stuff, and sometimes you have to realize that some of us are in more difficult situations in which we can't just like ignore what's happening. So being listened to is definitely a great way to support your fellow peers in this time. Yasmin, anything you'd like to add?
Definitely being heard. I feel with the undocumented community, sometimes when we do come out, when we come out about our status, people tend to, or at least I've experienced it, people tend to treat me differently, like special in some sort of way. Yes, I face difficulties, but that does not mean you need to treat me like this, but like I'm fragile or something. Like my life is not total sadness. There's joy in our lives, most definitely. So honestly, yes, definitely what Messi said, being heard. If people have that capacity to support us emotionally and mentally, because sometimes we just need someone who can hear us vent and be there for us, because keeping it bottled up inside just isn't really healthy for us. Another preferred system is right now, especially since like the elections are coming up, the best way is to get informed. The best for me, the best ally is a voting ally, an acting voting ally. Like, yeah, you can advocate for me, you can say what I deal with, but are you putting, what is it? Are you putting your words to action? Are you really advocating for us, doing what we can't due to like, the structure of things? Are you voting for those who will advocate for us in a way, that won't harm our mental health? Because the past 4 years have definitely been just detrimental. Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. It can be kind of challenging to sometimes hear people say that they support you, but sometimes their actions, especially their voting actions, don't really reflect that support. It's kind of just baseless sometimes. So I totally agree. For those of you who are listening and have the privilege to vote, please use that to really support our undocumented students and other marginalized communities. Don't, just vote for one person in office, but vote the entire ballot, because that really impacts a lot of the day-to-days for a lot of people. Okay, and then with that, we're done with this section. Woo.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to add a couple of things. Thank you, everybody, for your shares. Thank you, Diana, for your beautiful reflection and facilitation. I'm so moved to hear your all's experiences. And as I've worked with the undocumented community for many years now, just to reiterate that as an ally for the community, that it is so important to listen and to know that our students, our staff, we're a whole people, and that there is, as Yasmin so beautifully said, that there's so much joy. And how do we capitalize on our joy and really make that the priority in spite of all of the external circumstances that are happening? And one of the key important things I know for the undocumented community is community. It is very a close-knit community, and so where we learn from one another and get inspired by one another. And community is a form of resilience. How do we stay thriving and stay in the game, stay in the challenge of life while finding a little bit of joy every day, is to tap into our internal resources and to tap into the supports that stand around us. So I want to share with you all one resource that we have at UCLA, which is the UCLA RISE Center. It's a brand new center, about 2 years old, that stands for Resilience in Your Student Experience. At the center, we offer a wide array of programs and services for our students, explicitly for our marginalized communities, like our undocumented students that we want to elevate in terms of their mental health, their well-being, and their value on our campus. And so if you are an undocumented student or have a mixed status identity or are an ally, I want to let you know about the RISE Center, that we offer live virtual programs. We have a lot of self-study programs and offerings on our website that live in our virtual center that you can access at any time to support your mental health and well-being. We offer guided meditation tracks, opportunities for body movement, dialogue and connection spaces. We also offer online training. So for example, we have a mental health leadership series training for student leaders who want to develop a language and skill set for promoting mental health and well-being within themselves and in their community. So please visit our website for more information, and you can always contact us for any type of consultation work, or if you'd like to bring us to your space to offer a program, we are here in service to you. And our website is www.risecenter.ucla.edu, and you can contact us and find more information through the site.